Tim Tszyu is waiting to take the next steps in his career, but where that is and who it's going to be against is a little bit of a mystery at the moment. So to try and get some clarity, who better to chat to than the CEO of Tim's promoters, No Limit Boxing, George Rose. George, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Great to have you on as always. We appreciate your time. First of all, how did Tim pull up from that demolition job on Brian Mendoza on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, actually really good. I mean, for what's been the toughest test of his career to date, pulled up really good. No injuries, feeling fresh. He took a little holiday, which he's still finishing up at the moment. But the weird thing about Tim is on a holiday over on the Amalfi Coast, he's still running 10 Ks a day. Not something I'd do on a holiday. But when you're capable of doing it and you're the world champion, that's how you live your life.
Yeah, not my idea of a break, but anyway, like I said, each to their own. Everyone wants to know, George, what is next for Tim? Where do things stand in terms of what might be next for him?
Well, Tim's been adamant that his next fight he wants to have in the States, and we're really excited for that too. We don't have an official announcement just yet, but there will be something coming up. There's still a few big fights to finish off the year over there in the States that will decide how next year's schedule looks. But as far as Tim's concerned, he'll be ready to fight pretty much anywhere from March onwards. And for us, that's when we'll be looking at locking in an opponent, a worthy opponent that's ready from that point onwards. And, the bigger and better the fight we can get, that's what we'll look to get. But Tim's also made it clear he wants to be active again next year. So an active world champion is something that global boxing is not used to seeing. So Tim's ready to change the mold of what a world champion's meant to look like.
Yeah, so rare at the moment. I mean, Jamel Charlo, he would be the marquee fighter. It's the one that you guys have been chasing for some time now. Has contact been made in that regard about trying to make that happen, or is it just simply too hard?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll never stop discussions about Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo's been on the radar for a very, very long time, and he's not someone who will ever fall off it. He still holds them belts. So that's something that Tim wants to be able to take off him. So discussions with Jamel Charlo will continue to the point that he's ready to actually step into the ring. But again, I would say to everyone, do not hold your breath on Jamel Charlo, because we've held our breath multiple times before and he hasn't stepped into the ring. So let's just keep doing what Tim Tszyu does and keep getting them wins and put him into a position where he's got no choice but to step in with the rightful king of the 154-pound division.
At what point do you think it gets to where the other organisations that Charlo holds the belt of it, that they just go, you know what, if you don't want to fight, you've got to give him up?
Well, look, he's at the point now where he's been mandated to fight for his IBF title. So he's been mandated to defend that. And I'd say that the other sanctioning bodies won't be far behind. He's got to fight. When you're the champion, you're holding multiple belts. You got to be active. You got to get amongst it. And again, that's what I'll say. Tim is someone that will do that. It wouldn't matter how many belts Tim would own. He'd fight 10 times a year if he could. It's hard to slow him down. He's got no quit in him.
Exactly right. That's what we love about him. So you mentioned from March next year. So for Australian boxing fans looking to, do some research into who else is out there outside of Charlo, what type of names are we looking at next year?
Yeah, look, we're looking for big American opportunities. So the biggest opportunities that exist for Tim, you got guys like Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Jamel Charlo, Erickson Lubin, Danny Garcia. Even if you move up in weight, you got Jamal Charlo, you've got Lara, you've got Canelo, who's only 2 weight divisions away, and we saw that Jamel Charlo had no fear in stepping in with Canelo, and that's something that Tim would absolutely thrive on getting the opportunity to do as well. Any big name fighter like that, Tim's going to jump at the opportunity, and so will we. We'll do everything that we can to make it happen. But when you're in the red hot form that Tim Tszyu is in right now, you're not a guy that people really want to step into the ring for, anything less than a massive payday. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. If that doesn't play out like that, then he'll be looking at the next best guys in the 154-pound division and look at getting a few more belts. If anything else is vacated, he'll be the first man to dive on it and put his hand up for it, because he wants the belts, he wants a big fight. So that's the two things that we're looking at in what we choose for the next fight is availability, belts, and big names. So whoever's willing to put their hand up for Tim Tszyu, they're going to get a nice little surprise in Vegas.
Just quickly, George, on Nikita, he's got another big fight coming up against Dylan Biggs, who's the Australian super welterweight champ. That's November 22. How big of a danger fight is this for Nikita?
Look, if you don't understand the danger of this fight, speak to any regular boxing fan in Australia. Most of them are tipping Dylan Biggs to win this fight. So this is a massive fight for Nikita Tszyu, a fight that's could be a little bit too fast for him, could be a little bit too soon. Nikita will love to prove everybody wrong who says that it is too soon, who says that Biggs could beat him. Nikita's an exciting fighter, but Dylan Biggs is a young guy who can punch. He's got massive knockout power. He's earned the Australian title with his talent, and he's a rightful Australian champ at the moment. But Nikita is a guy who steps up to big moments. He's been put into big moments since his debut, headlining a Fox show on his debut. You know, not many people are thrust straight into the limelight like that, but Nikita's a guy that thrives on it. He's a guy that delivers on the big stage, and it's a fight that I see as a genuine 50-50. I'm backing Nikita every step of the way, as I'm sure a lot of the Australian fans will be backing Nikita, but you do have to understand that this is a very dangerous fight that could be over in the first 30 seconds. It could go the distance. It could be a slugfest. But it could be over very quick, because both of these guys have massive knockout power.
So going to be one to watch. George Rose, as always, thanks very much for your time.